Maybe, like, I'm so crooked on Instagram. Here we go. Barrett! Hey, hey, hey! So, I kind of want to have a conversation. Ooh, wait a minute. I always forget that Instagram can see all of me. And it ain't working. It's all breaking. I kind of want to have a conversation. I don't know if I want to do it before or after I ask the questions. But what do y'all think about this $1 billion validation that Clubhouse has, and how people are saying that it's basically on our backs, like we're the one that did it?
I told Alea something. We had a conversation like a little while ago, and I told her we just kind of, it's always been like that. We influence the culture. We've controlled the culture for a long time. I think people like yourself, LaConya, are influencing us to monetize on controlling the culture. But until we do that, it's always going to be on us. We literally control the culture of almost everything that is pop culture or popular in today's world. It comes from the African American individual or side of things, and it's people want to imitate it, people want to duplicate it, but we need to be learning how to monetize it.
I 100% agree. That's why I'm so heavy on ownership. And it really is about creating that intellectual property and then owning it. You know, it's not just about a sheet of paper. It's about what you can do with it, what it means. I saw a video that Master P did on the subject, and he's feeling the same way. And I've noticed that he's been doing a lot more investing to make sure that we are having ownership in places where we normally don't. Like him and someone else are going in to buy Reebok. He wants to have the a black-owned version of Telsa. He's doing things, creating things so that we can be in these spaces, and we need to do the same. Like, intellectual property is so valuable. Our knowledge, like, just think about it. If us getting on this platform and talking about and sharing our ideas, like, if what we're just sharing can be that, like, what can we do if we keep it for ourselves? If we use it for ourselves and build off of it? One of the things that Master P said was that, you know what, we can try, but in our community, there's always that person that says, well, why you want to call it Clubhouse? It's not a club. Well, why you want to do that? That's silly, And some people will use that as an excuse not to move forward, already basically counting themselves out before they even try. And so what do you think about that? Me personally, I feel like no matter what you do, someone's going to say something, have something to say. Do it anyway. That's how I feel about it. But does anyone else have any input on that? And we are going to get into Murray's Law, but I'm not even surprised. I'm just in awe. Like, I'm not surprised at all because, like Max said, we all the culture. They've been doing this for centuries. And the killer thing about it is they always tell us that, oh, we don't know anything, we're stupid, we yada, yada, yada. But then they turn right back around, and steal our stuff. And in this case, it's not even stealing, right? We're just giving it to them. We're just coming up here on this platform, spitting knowledge, right? And it's something, and then if you think about it, listen, check this out, peep this out. We're on this platform spitting knowledge, and it's in a context that can't even be recorded, right? So we can't even, when we're spending hours and hours on Clubhouse, right? We can't even turn around and do anything with it. The only people that can really benefit from this are the platform owners in some perspective, right? Some people are coming on here and they're closing deals and they're getting brain connections, but the bigger scheme, that's just my thoughts.
I agree 100%. Until we believe IP is the way to go and we protect our IP, then we'll always be just the creators of the culture, never the owners.
Yes, and it's time for us to start, and it's time for us to start owning stuff. Like, that's what we're doing in 2021. All right, let's get into these questions. I'm headed to the Genius Lounge. Speaking of ownership, right? If you are not a member of the Genius Lounge, which is our free platform for entrepreneurs who are looking to build better businesses, connect with entrepreneurs in a way that really betters them, go ahead. It's free. Go sign up, geniuslounge.co. We there. You can ask your questions. You can network with other people. It's pretty cool. All right, so we got some good questions here. And we're going to start with, ooh, I like this question. This question came from Max. And it says, securing trademark classes. Do we do it all at once or one at a time? Can you go back and add classes on the existing trademark once it's registered? I love that question because it does a couple of things. One, it brings out the fact and the point that when you get your trademark, your protection is limited to how you use it, meaning that it's not a blanket protection. If you get a trademark for planters, I'm looking at my plant that's in that pot, right? So you get a trademark for planters, right? And then you decide that, you know what, I want to create seeds. I want to create other products that I want to create fertilizer. That trademark for the planters is not going to protect you for fertilizer. It's a whole different class. And when we talk about classes, we're talking about uses. So what you have to do is when you file your application, I've seen someone say this. I saw this on Facebook. This is why you don't take advice from people on Facebook. Someone said, oh, I filed my trademark application myself. I just put down all the possible ways that I might use it. That is not what you want to do. So when you file a trademark application, especially when you file an in-use application, you're telling people that this is how you plan on using it. Yes, you are in the right spot. Yes. You are in the right spot. But this is how you put this. You say this is how you plan on using it, right? And if you put in a use that you're not, if you put down a class that you're not using it, then your application can be void because you committed perjury on your application, like you lied. And you don't want to do that. So you want to put down the classes that you're actually using, unless you're filing an intent to use application, which says, hey, I'm not using it right now, but I intend to use it in the future, right? And then once you begin using it, you can get your trademark certificate. So it's not like there's no hosies. Like, when you're a kid and you got siblings and you're like, you putting your name on stuff so nobody else will take it. Like, you can't do that with trademarks. That's not how that works. So you want to make sure that you're getting your protection in your class. And let's say that you have your trademark, right? And then sometime down the line, you expand into a use that you didn't apply for, that your certificate doesn't cover. Then at that time, what you'll have to do is go through the trademark process all over again. Because if you think about it, when USPTO is doing their search and when I'm doing my search, I'm looking for conflicted uses, similar uses, right? And so what might be a conflicting use in one class could not be a conflicting use in another class. Perfect example, Dove. I'll keep going back to Dove chocolate, right? Dove, if there's another candy that wants to be called Dove chocolate, right? That can be a conflict. Well, actually, I shouldn't use that as an example. So I'm going to say Dove as chocolate and Dove as soap, right? So let's say Dove came out and they have chocolate, and that's what they registered for. And then later on, they're like, you know what? We want to get into, chocolate is a form of self-care. We want to expand this self-care. And now we want to get into bubble baths. I don't know. I just made that up. I'm still talking about Dove the chocolate, right? And so now when they want to expand to this class, you got to go through that whole process again. You got to do the trademark clearance search and see if there are any conflicting marks. In this place, there is a conflicting mark because there's Dove, the soap company. So that will prevent them from expanding to that class without infringing on someone's trademark. So that's a really good question. So yes, you do not do it all at once unless you are using each class that you're applying for. And then when you get ready to add a new class, that will be a new trademark application. You have to go through the whole process from scratch. It's just not sending in a form saying, hey, let me get 5 on pump 2. Like, you can't just add this class. You have to go through the whole process again. So that was a really good question. And Max, did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, you sure did. I definitely appreciate it.
Cool beans. Let's see. The next question is, when you trademark a business name, Does it? Ooh, I like this question. Look at these. I love these questions. And then I think Juno is in Clubhouse with us. If I can open up the question. Okay, here it is. When you trademark a business name, does it protect you from different variations? For example, brownstone with the brown and the stone as one word, and then brownstone with it separate. Another good question. Come on, y'all. Come on through with these good old questions. I sure do appreciate it. So, here's the answer. Yes. So trademarks give the owner the right to exclude other people, other business owners from using the same or similar name in the same or similar manner or class, right? So if someone says, so we go back to the brownstone example, right? So someone's trademark is brownstone for cookies. Did I eat? Why am I talking about cookies and chocolate? I guess I ate. Maybe it's time for dessert. I don't know. Back to the subject at hand. Anywho, hold on. So someone has a trademark for brownstone for cookies, right? And then someone else wants to do brownstone as two words. So brownstone for cookies is one word. They have a trademark. Someone else wants to come in with brownstone with two words and say, hey, or is this different because ours is brown and stone, but it's not. It's similar. So when they're looking at whether something is similar, there's a couple of things they look for. They want to look and see if it sounds the same, if it looks the same, if it gives the same impression and feeling, right? If it has the same meaning. And you can go through that list, right? And if the answer to those questions are yes, then you're not getting that trademark. Sometimes you can have a yes and a few no's, and you can get the trade. Like it just really, you have to balance. It really is a balancing factor. But to answer your question, if someone when you get your trademark, it will allow you to prevent other people from using not only the same but also similar name as you in your same or related field. Which is why when we do our trademark clearance search, we're not just searching for this exact name that you want to trademark, right? We're not just searching for that. We're searching for different variations of that. So, great question. And then we're going to go to, I can open this question. And if you have questions, we're getting ready to answer questions. So if you have questions, we're getting ready to answer them. And then just for people who are coming in and joining me on Instagram and on YouTube, and people who just entered the room on Clubhouse, what we're doing is, this is our weekly Q&A called Murray's Law. I'm Murray. I'm attorney LaConya Murray, and we're going to answer your questions regarding trademark, copyright, and business development. We always answer the questions that were pre-submitted first. So if you haven't joined the Genius Lounge, go on over there and join the Genius Lounge and submit your questions. Okay? Okay. So next question from the Genius Lounge is, I'm rebranding everything and building a course to launch within the next 30 days. Went to GoDaddy to get my domain name, frowny angry face emoji, right? And it was taken. They're offering to identify the owner, negotiate for you. You know how GoDaddy says, hey, let us find the owner for you. You pay $119 plus 20% commission to any of the agents that handles it. The question is there any way you can do this yourself? Like, it sounds suspect on so many levels. And she wants to know, has anybody run into this? I mean, that is common, where GoDaddy will try to broker a deal. My suggestion, and Tanisha, Max, you can definitely chime in. My suggestion is that if the domain name isn't private, can't you go to something like, what is it, like ICANN, like look up and see who the owner is and then try to negotiate for yourself and cut out the middleman?
You absolutely can. Yes, you absolutely can. If the domain is not private, if they don't have any type of privacy services on it, she can look up the domain. GoDaddy themselves has a domain lookup service, which is of no cost. And she'll be able to see not only who is hosting, but the person's name and how to get in touch with them. And she would be able, if they're not using the domain, be able to broker their deal herself.
Nice. That's what I thought too. Like you go that route before just shelling money out. Cool beans. Let's see. I feel like there was another question somewhere. Let's find the question. And so we're getting ready. I'm coming up on my last pre-submitted question. As soon as I find it, because this one didn't come from the Genius Lounge. This one came from the YouTube. As the cool kids say it, or maybe the cool kids don't say it. Maybe it's just me that says it. Ooh, this is the question. Long story short was they saw the video about do you need money before getting the LLC, and they said that I wish I would have seen this video first. I spent like $1,600 for LLC, because in a lot of places, in some states, it costs more than a few $100s to form that LLC. Or sometimes you form that LLC, right? You form that LLC, but then you have, like in Alabama, we have a business privilege tax. And you got to pay taxes every year on that. And so that can stack up for those people. I just realized I didn't even turn my light on. That can stack up for those people who form that LLC based off an idea. They're like, ooh, I got a great idea. I'm going to go get me an LLC, but they haven't done any business planning. Hint, 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 for the people who can see my camera business planning workbook that I'm pointing to right here. They haven't done any of that, but they just want to get this LLC so they can, I guess, protect their idea. I don't know why you would go out and get an LLC without making sure that you have a valid business. So his question is, like, what can I do about that? After you form the LLC, get to work on your business plan so you can get your money back, like start making your investment back. But if you form this LLC and you decided, hey, you know what, I'm not going to go into business. I changed my mind, and you're trying to avoid having to pay those yearly fees, then you need to go to your Secretary of State's website and see how you dissolve an LLC. So that's that question. All right. I'm going to just bring people to the stage and just, like I said, the questions. Let's see. I'll just invite people. Chanel! All right. Cool beans. All right.
Hello. Hi, LaConya. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for inviting me onto this stage, and I'm glad you did, because I actually do have a question for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Now, so I sell statement t-shirts, and the other day I saw via an Instagram ad that someone had the same slogan that I did. And what are I don't know how to word the question, like,
what can you do?
Can I get them? Yeah, what can I do? Yeah.
Great question. So one thing you have to know when you have a tee, like, well, you're on Clubhouse so you can't see me, but I'm actually rocking a statement tee today that says Black Economics Matters, right? So whenever you have a slogan tee like that, one thing you have to keep in mind is that trademarks protect brand identifiers, those things that indicate the source of a good or a service. When we put statements on front of a t-shirt, it does not identify the source of a good or a service. So it doesn't function as a trademark. So you say, okay, LaConya, is it a copyright? It's something that I came up with. It's creative, right? So copyrights, you have to keep in mind that copyrights do not protect short phrases. So in that case, the slogan is not protected by copyrights either. What I always tell people is that you have to build a brand, right? You build a brand and you protect that brand and make it so that people want to buy from you. It doesn't matter if 20 other people are selling it. That's why brands are so powerful. That's why trademarks are so powerful. Because it doesn't matter if 100 different people are selling it. Once you create that brand loyalty, people are coming to you.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I was so hurt when I saw that. I was like, no, I'm going to file a lawsuit,
I love it.
I was just like, this is mine. How could they do that? But thank you for answering the question. I meant to reach out to you, but today was perfect timing. So Lesson learned. Noted. I'll definitely continue to build my brand around that instead. Yeah.
And let me say this as well. Now, there is copyright protection in the font. And that's something, as when you're creating t-shirts, you have to be aware of, is that the fonts are protected by copyrights. So if you have a font, first thing you want to do is make sure you have a commercial license to use that font and sell it, the shirt, so you don't get sued for copyright infringement, right? That's number one. Number two, if you can hire someone to create a custom font for you and then assign their rights to you so that you own it, right? If someone does copy your shirt using that font, now it's copyright infringement, not so much for the phrase, because they're infringing on your rights that you have in the font. Okay.
Right, that was something else I was wondering, because their writing is completely different than my own. It's just that the phrase is the same. So, okay. Yeah.
But that's something to keep in mind when you're doing shirts, is make sure that you have a commercial license for the font. And then if you can get someone to create a custom font for your brand, so that when anybody sees it, they know it's your brand and you own it. And if someone copies that font, now you have grounds to sue.
Awesome. Thank you so much, LaConya. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions?
I do have a question.
All right, Jessica.
And it's kind of similar, I think, to the discussion we were just having, but I wanted to get clarity on, is it possible to trademark or copyright a slogan as it applies to your brand? So, for example, if your company said, we do this as easy as A to Z.
Right.
Can you trademark that phrase?
Yes, because now what you're doing is that phrase is associated with a good or a service. It's like Nike's Just Do It. So as long as it's identifying the source of a good or a service, then yes. So we have our slogan is operate in your realm of genius while we operate in ours, and we have a trademark for that because it identifies the source of our service. So absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool beans. Yay, this is fun. This is fun. This is fun. I appreciate y'all coming in and hanging out with me tonight, and then indulging me a little bit before we got started about the whole Clubhouse thing. I was just kind of taken aback. Let me go back to the questions. That when I just saw about the Clubhouse and the validation, and just, again, another platform that we turn the owners into billionaire, you know. Hold on, let's see. I think I have a question. You know what? How about I'm going to ask the question, because I have my good friend Alea as a moderator, and this is definitely in her realm of genius, right? All things systems and processes. All things systems and processes. So a question that I often get is, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? And in this case, I mean, especially right now here, the big thing is hiring, right? Do we hire first and then create the systems and have the people that we hire document what they're doing? Or should we kind of have an idea of how we want things done and then hire?
I get this question often, actually. And depending on who you ask, you're going to get different answers. But my answer is, you should have at least a strategy. You should have something in mind of what you want. Because what that is going to do is that's going to allow you to put the correct resources in the correct places. People are resources. We don't think of it that way, but the people that we hire are also resources. So if you're not a person that creates systems, but you understand that you need systems, what's going to happen? You're going to hire a strategist. If you have that strategist is going to come in and they're going to help you with your systems and go forward, and you're going to do some strategic planning, and they're going to help you further allocate your resources. So you may say, okay, well, I need this software, which is a resource. I need this documentation, which is a resource. We need a budget that is also resources, because financials are also resources. And then building out your team of people, that's also resources. That's really the first part. I know a lot of people, especially if you're working in like the web development and web design industry, we want to go in and just do. And that's the industry I come from. And that's what really made me go into creating systems and management, because I saw that my industry, they just didn't do a lot of planning on the front end. It was just like, oh, you want a website? I can build it. Let's go.
Okay.
It was like, okay, wait, there's a whole lot of other things that need to be discussed. Why are we building a website? What type of website is it? What's going to happen? What are we connected to? Social media? How is it going to play in the marketing? All of these other questions that people who were not necessarily business driven or agency driven, they were just the developers or just the designers, they were not asking those questions. So I really wanted to serve them and get them asking the right questions. So you need to have some type of idea, at least enough to know that if you are not able to build the system, you need to get someone who can, and so they can navigate and help you navigate through the planning phase. So which comes first? Your ideal comes first. You need to know that it is done. And if you are in business, you're absolutely going to need some type of systems, some type of automation. We are in 2021. No more of doing things manually if you just don't have to. There are certain things that definitely need manpower, but with all the technology we have today, everything shouldn't be manual. And, it's just good client experience. That's really what we focus on. Everything we do is based off the client experience, not so much about making things easier for us, because it's going to be easy for us regardless, but just providing our customers and our clients with an amazing experience, because without customers and clients, we don't have a business.
You're right.
So I know that was a long answer.
You're right, but it was a good answer, and it brought me to.
I answered your question.
You did. So we need to have an idea of what we want the people to do before we hire them, and we do that by, at least, like you said, outlining what our systems and processes are. But it actually brought up another question. One of that I think that I struggle with, because when I think of systems,
I think you're muted in Clubhouse. You're muted.
I am. I'm just talking, and thank you very much. Hey, Sandra. So what I was saying was, it did answer my question. So thank you very much. The other thing that I would say is that it brought up another question for me, because when I think of systems, my mind automatically goes to automation. Like I feel like I incorrectly use them interchangeably. And I realized today, as I was doing my first performance evaluation for my employees, that the reason that we were kind of off sync is because of that. I'm thinking systems and automation as one, and she's thinking just systems minus automations. So is that, systems and automation, they're not the same. Are they the same thing? Am I wrong?
They are not the system. Automation is kind of like a part of a system. People even think that applications and software are systems, which is not necessarily incorrect. But when I talk about system, I'm talking about business systems, which is your strategic planning, it is your resources, it is your automation, it's your software, it's all of these things put together to get you to your goal. So all of the things that you put into it to get you to your goal. Your planning alone is not going to do it. You're going to need to have some type of resources, software, things like that. And also data. We want to have our KPIs. We want to have our measurements. We want to have the things that tell us whether or not our system is working correctly. So that, for us, that is a business system. It's a combination of all of these things that allow us to meet a business objective or a business goal, not just the software.
I love it. I feel like we can have like a whole nother discussion, like a whole nother room about KPIs and data. Like that's
May
something.
I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, I'm muted again.
So, and is it Alea? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm sorry. Yes, Jessica, it's Alea. So I'm curious. I'm very intrigued with regards to the systems piece. Is that something that a project manager would maintain? Yes. So to give you an idea, we break up our system in 3 different segments. We have our client acquisition, so all things that happen to acquire clients. This is your marketing, your advertising, and your sales. And then we have our client management. So this is where you probably would see your project management manager, because they're actually managing projects. They're managing the work that is being done. And then we also have client retention, getting clients to come back. That's very customer service driven. So where we put most of our project managers is actually managing the project that's being done. We don't necessarily put them in the beginning with client acquisition because it's very marketing and advertising and sales heavy. But if you're talking strictly about someone who is going to manage the work, or I say the service that you're providing, you want someone to make sure that the people are in the right place, that people are communicating with your clients, that clients are happy, that work and tasks are being done. Yes, definitely project manager would be for that part. Okay. And could they also be in, I'm sorry, I'm struggling because I know that where my business is, I'm in the position that I need to hire a project manager, but I'm not sure of all of the things that this person could or would potentially do, because I can see so many different areas, like, for example, the implementation of software, of automation software, and managing that. So it's like some portions that are client facing, and then there are other portions that are more company facing, I guess. And so just curious if that's something that could potentially be all inclusive under a project manager, or should it be a little bit more separated out than that? I will give you the easiest answer ever. Look at regular old brick and mortar companies. They have been doing this for years. Mm-hmm. They have segmented people and put the correct people in places. When we get into entrepreneurship, we want to kind of try to recreate the wheel. You know, we have this virtual assistant thing that's going on, and they do 5,000 different things. But in the area that we have all worked in, we know that everyone have their place. You know who the CEO is. You know who the manager is. You know who the project manager is. You know, everyone has a place. Don't try to recreate the wheel. If you're curious as to what they should do, internet, look up roles. Look up, what am I trying to say? Look up where descriptions. Yeah. Descriptions. It's really that easy, because one of the things you don't want is for people to be overworked. Yes. Let people operate in their zone of genius. You're going to get better results. Don't have people do things that they don't want to do. Yes. Because it's going to be mediocre. Yeah, they can learn to do it, but it's still going to be mediocre. But also put people in a position where if someone says, I absolutely love project management, I love running projects, I'm not really into, operations, then don't put them in a place to do operations, because it's just not going to have your business flourish. So if you're specifically looking for someone to run the services that you offer, and they are there to kind of help you with the clients and your customers and things like that, that's a project manager. If you're looking for like your day-to-day and kind of handling like the business side, that's going to be a totally different person, because 9 times out of 10, this is the person that's going to talk to your attorney. This is the person who's going to talk to your accountant. This is the person who is going to talk to your HR. Totally different than the person who is just going to help with your staff and your services and things like that.
Okay, and what does that person have or title have a name?
I want to say operations, but it's not necessarily correct. I'll look that up for you. I'm not going to give you, but I'll give you that answer.
Okay, thank you.
And I will add this too. I just finished, at the end of last year, I read a really great book called Traction by Gino Wickman. I think that you would benefit greatly. It piggybacks on what Alea was saying about when we go into entrepreneurship, right? We want to throw everything that we know about corporate and about business out the window because we didn't like our experience in it. But you have to take away some of that foundational stuff because they were able to build successful business by having the right people in the right place. And so that's a good book to read. It's Traction. And then another one is Clockwork by Mike McCalskey or something like that. Every time I say his name, I think of the character from Monsters, Inc., which if you don't have kids, you don't get that, so never mind.
Mike Wazowski.
Yes, that's it. I don't think that's his name, but every time I say his name, that's exactly who I think about. So, but yeah, so those two books, those are some really good resources to help you as far as knowing how to hire and put people in the right position and making sure that you have the right thing. Like one of the things that I did today during my performance evaluations, like I literally to find the right people, right? You have your company values. That's why it's so important. Like you don't just jump into like business. Like you take your time and you plan. Like Alea was saying, like planning is a big part of business. People like to frown their nose up at it for some reason. I don't know. But there's nothing wrong with taking your time and planning. Planning doesn't mean that you're going to take all day to do something, right? But it does mean that you're going to be intentional about what you're doing. So one of the things you want to do, especially when it comes to branding, is you want to make sure that you have your values, because at the end of the day, that branding, that those values and what you stand for, that's what you're protecting. It's not just about this logo. Like the logo means nothing if it doesn't stand in front of something. Like it's something behind that, holding that logo and making it valuable. And it's not just the words and the font and the picture, it's what you stand for. So the right people, you have your values, and make sure the people you hire values align with what your company's values, right? So that's how you have the right people. And then with the right seat, right, making sure that, like Leia was saying, is that you have someone that, one, they want to do the job. Like that's what they want to do. Not only do they want to do the job, they're capable of doing the job. They know how to do the job. And 3, they understand what their position is. So those are the 3 things that you're looking for as far as the right seat. So you want the right person in the right seat. The right person has the same values as your company, and the right seat means that they get it, they want it, they understand it. And we're actually doing a training. So if you're in the insider layer, I know you're an insider. We're actually doing a training on Traction on Thursday because I love it. Like that whole foundational piece. And for me, what we're gonna focus on is making sure that we are very intentional about 2021 as far as setting our goals and our focuses for the year and staying on track and not being all over the place as we tend to be, because we forget what our goals are, like New Year's resolutions.
That is right up my alley. And to kind of piggyback what you were saying, LaConya, and to Jessica, you can take your time with this. We've had our business for, this will be the 8th year. And I literally today finally decided to not be so consumed with what everyone else is doing and all of the trends and what I felt like I should be doing as I have in the past, and really buckle down and have what our mission is and what our goals is. Before I was leading with, oh, I built systems. You know, and it was just kind of like, okay, that's what I do. But I found out that no, I build client experiences, and that's what I teach people to do: how to have great client experiences, how to get your clients continue coming back, how to sell to your clients just by offering them an amazing experience. Right. And when I started like going down that road, everything just started falling into place. Like things that I never thought would fall into place, they're falling into place. So I would absolutely take LaConya up on her advice. Really find out the purpose and the vision of your business. Not so much what you're selling, but why you're doing it and how you're going to help your clients. What is going to be the big win for them to either purchase from you or obtain your services or etc. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you both so much. LaConya, thank you so much for the book recommendations. And Alea, thank you so much for the information. Very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And as you were talking, Alea, that just goes back to what I was saying to Chanel. Like when you're building that brand, yes, someone else might be selling statement teas, but when you have that brand, so your business is not just, so when you're building that brand, it's really about the bigger picture. Like, what are you really doing? Like, it's not just a t-shirt. What is it really? Like, what is it really? So from I don't just, help people with trademarks and copyrights, right? My whole mission is to help people build better businesses, and not just people in my community, African Americans, because I firmly believe that that's how we're going to overcome this systematic racism and injustice that we see all the time. When we start having we have our own sandbox to play in. We don't have to worry about going and beg and play in somebody else's sandbox. Like, I am the biggest believer. Like, I'm not going to beg you for anything. I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to do my own, and it's going to be so good that you're going to come over here to where I'm at and say, hey, can I come play with you? And that's what I want to do for Black businesses, is help them build better businesses with great foundations that are scalable, so they can stop being the only person in their business. They can have something they can give to their kids or sell if they choose. But we have to start building something. We have to start building businesses that allow us to help our community in multiple ways by bringing jobs to the community, right? Like, y'all might, if you follow me, you probably heard me say this before, but Claude Anderson, when he says that it's criminal for us to have kids and send them out into other communities begging for work, I agree. Like, that's why we're so behind. Like, we have kids that want to be lawyers, doctors, and everything else, but they've never seen it. They never touched it. They don't know anyone that can give them an internship, that can say, hey, this is what's going on. And we have to be that someone. Okay, I'm stepping down off my soapbox. I don't even know how I got there. Janae, how you doing? Oh, who else is here? Just to reset the room, we've had a couple people join us on Instagram and in Clubhouse. This is our weekly segment called Murray's Law, where we talk about, or we answer your questions relating to trademarks, copyright, and business development. We always answer the questions that were submitted in the Genius Insiders first. So if you're a Genius Insider, that's the paid membership program. It's the Legal Business Mentor membership program subscription. Great. You get free consultations, free document review, monthly master classes. It's really awesome. But we answer those questions first, and then we go down to the Genius Lounge, which is our free online community. We answer those questions next, and then if we have time permitting, we will answer questions from the audience. So that's where we are now. We're in the audience phase of answering questions, and this has been a really great discussion. Thank you, everyone, for your questions and for your input. Are there any other questions? Let's see. Let me check. Miss Hair today, thank you so much for joining us. The Fit Bomb Shell, appreciate it. Ooh. I almost dropped my iPad. That was not gonna be good. Ooh. Thank you, Jesus. Any other questions? Trademarks, copyrights. If you are just now joining us and you're like, oh, what do they talk about? You can definitely head over to the Genius Lounge. It's free, sign up, and when you log in and go to your dashboard, you'll see the Murray's Law videos so you can watch the replay. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Then, all right, I think that's it. Make sure you join us every Monday. Make sure you join. Oh, let me just say this. First of all, we got our clubhouse. We got our club room, so that's pretty cool. The Genius Lounge.
Make sure I saw that.
I was like, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And I think what happened was when we first started, I didn't know that I had to open it up. So, yeah. It's gravy, though. We still had a really great conversation. I didn't open it up till like 2 minutes ago. But, so yeah, make sure you join the Genius Lounge on Clubhouse and definitely geniuslounge.co. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little salty about that validation that they have. And I'm like, do I want to continue bringing my talents here, or do I want to take them to South Beach? Like, I don't know. That's just so whatever you do, make sure you go to geniuslounge.co so you can stay up on the latest. That's how you're going to get your notifications about what we're doing, where we're at, what we're offering, different discounts and promotions that we have going on, and things of that nature. So make sure you join the geniuslounge.co. Cool beans. All right. Now this is the time where we just sit back and talk about nothing. Alea, Max, what y'all doing?
We got this contract, right?
Yes. So you about to get to this work. You gotta, yes, that's so good. Congratulations. Oh, that makes my heart so happy.
Thank you. It's been interesting. Interesting nonetheless. So taking up a lot of time
Yeah.
We'll tell you about it off air.
Yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk anyway, especially when you were talking about that client experience part. That's what I need help with. I hired my client success admin with the intentions of her helping or developing this client experience, but I feel like it's like you were saying, like I hired one person to do too many things, which was not my intentions. I thought it was all in that same realm because she's dealing with clients and stuff, but what I'm realizing that it's not in this separate. Like I have her doing a couple of things that I would definitely need to separate. So you and I will definitely talk about that client experience. That's something that a lot of businesses can benefit from. So, but I won't hold y'all any longer. I will let y'all get to your evening. Thank you again for spending your Monday evening with me. I appreciate y'all. And I will see you next week.
Absolutely.